Launch season continues here at Second Swing, both on the YouTube channel and on the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, with two great interviews in today's episode. Travis Milleman from PING to talk about PING G440. We were on site at PING doing some testing. And then also Tom Fisher joins the show. We were at Titleist for this one as well. We're talking about Titleist GT1 and the new GT Hybrids, also now available and will be available for fittings at Second Swing stores as of February 4th. That and more on this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. Hey golfers, I'm Drew Maholder, Second Swing Golf, here for another episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, and the product launch season just continues to roll. All your favorite companies and brands are launching new stuff out there for you to try out and test and ultimately help you play better golf. And today we've got two interviews talking in depth on some of our favorite products of the launch cycle. PING G440, we were on site in Scottsdale to do some testing. And we got to sit down with PING design engineer Travis Milleman to talk all things PING G440, what they've done new this year compared to G430, and of course, all the new additions to the lineup as well, in terms of there's a new 4-wood in the lineup, there's a new 5-wood in the LST model, and so those things are really important to go through with Travis. And then we also talked with Tom Fisher while we were down in Carlsbad at Titleist HQ to talk new GT1 and the GT Hybrids, some really cool stuff in there as well. One thing we wanted to touch on briefly before we get into those interviews is Nick Taylor winning the Sony Open in dramatic fashion. The guy just has a flair for the dramatics, continues to win in playoff fashion. I believe that's 3 years in a row now that he has won in a playoff, and he's got a unique bag. He's an equipment free agent. He has been playing a lot of TaylorMade in the past. However, interesting of note, right away, he's got a 2 generations old driver from Titleist, the Titleist TSI 3. Also in the bag, a QI10 3-wood and the Sim 2 Max 5-wood. So right there, going back in time several generations, especially with that Sim 2 Max 5-wood, a TSR2 hybrid, T100 irons, 4-iron through 9-iron, and then a set of Vokey SM10 wedges and the Spider Tour Red putter that he's been using for some time now. So Nick Taylor winning in dramatic fashion. We had to go through what's in the bag, being a pretty unique one there. And again, as an equipment free agent, those ones always kind of pique our interest here at Second Swing to see what clubs are being played by the players not paid to play them. That TSI 3 driver is certainly interesting. So without further ado, now we'll get into the interviews here. You'll see Travis Milleman from PING and you'll see Tom Fisher from Titleist. Some really good conversation with each of them on the new products that they're representing as well. So let's dive into them right here, Travis and Tom. All right, we now welcome on the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, Travis Milleman. Travis is a PING design engineer, and we're on the PING Proving Grounds today, which is awesome. The weather stinks.
Thanks for coming.
It's
just for you.
It's 75 degrees and sunny. That's we like it. We like it. So G440. That's the story here today. Yep. So by now, this episode is now out, and the G440 clubs are now being fit in stores at Second Swing. It's been awesome today to be here and be able to hit the clubs myself, because I'm blown away. If you haven't yet and you're watching or listening to this, check out the stuff on the YouTube channel. We did some testing of G440 and it's been remarkable. So I guess to get into things, Travis, just can you give me the story? What is the G440 story? What is, is there a theme that you guys are kind of accomplishing with the new lineup this year?
For sure, yeah. Oh, I think first, we don't want to forget 430 has been really good to us.
It has.
Driver to iron, everything has performed. I wouldn't say above our wildest imaginations, because we predicted this would happen.
Yeah.
But it's been very popular on tour with consumers as well. So we had a tall task with 440. How do we improve upon that? And a lot of it comes to just trying to optimize where we're putting the mass in our clubs. So trying to lower the CG, make the clubs a little bit more distance focused. The driver is definitely a little bit longer than 430, both in terms of total distance, but we lengthened the shaft a little bit. Mm-hmm. We made it a little bit lighter. But top to bottom, it's just trying to lower the CG, driver, fairway, hybrid, and iron to get better launch conditions.
Yeah, I mean, definitely saw some of that in the testing that I had today, and I was particularly interested because of, we'll get into it a little bit, but like the additional and different options that they're available now.
in talking about the forward of the G440 Fairway Woods, the G440 Max, specifically the 5-wood now with the LST in the Fairway Woods. So the options that our fitters are going to have just took it to another level this year with G440, which is really cool. So I want to start with the drivers. You mentioned some of those changes or optimizations that were made. One thing I'm curious about right away is that free hosel design. So for someone watching or listening to this, that it's like free hosel, what does that mean? Explain what that means and what it also does to the club.
Yeah, so free hosel is the way in which we're able to save a ton of mass in our product. So it's the removing some of the internal structure around our hosel sleeve, our trajectory tuning hosel sleeve. So the structure, the sleeve itself hasn't changed. It's a trajectory tuning 8-lobe sleeve, same functionality as G430. But we've basically taken a look at how can we free up all of the area around that sleeve to help create mass savings, which is the biggest part about that new technology, but also help free up the heel side of the face to get a little bit more ball speed. So we're trying to normalize. If we can increase ball speed everywhere, great. We are trying to be as fast as we can on the heel, the toe, high, low, right? And so free hosel design definitely helps to increase the ball speed in the heel a little bit over G430 while simultaneously saving a lot of weight. What we do with that weight is we reallocate it as low as possible so that we can achieve pretty high launch conditions, good spin rates, and good ball speed.
Yeah, that was one thing that I saw in some testing was it seemed like the same loft. We did a G430 Max versus G440 Max driver test, and getting more launch with the same loft. Just launch a little bit higher, and so that kind of speaks to kind of just a little bit of additional weight lower to kind of bring the CG down.
In some of our testing, we've seen we've done a lot of testing where we fully fit people for G430 here at PING Proving Grounds, and then we fully fit them for a 440, and we're seeing that a lot of people are able to play a little bit less loft on 440 while maintaining the same launch and spin. So it's launching at the same window, but you're actually able to play a little bit less loft, so we get more ball speed. Couple that with, we made the shaft, the Alta CB, the standard offering, Alta CB Blue at 46 inches, so a 1/4 inch longer than G430, and we've also made the head a little bit lighter. We're trying to gear everything towards more speed and distance in this product. So the head's a few grams lighter, the shaft itself is a few grams lighter. Total, it's 10 grams lighter as a system, and a little bit longer. So we're able to gear that more towards delivering maximum ball speed for the consumer.
Yeah, and then also the back weight is also a little heavier because of these kind of changes to make things a little bit lighter elsewhere. So maybe even a little bit more stable in that regard too, in addition to kind of the more speed that you're talking about.
Yeah, we've taken a really good look at how do we create total forgiveness. MOI is a factor of that. Obviously, we love MOI at PING.
Of course.
But it's more than that as well. It's face curvature, the way in which we shape the face, heel to toe, and high to low. So the roll, the curvature from the crown to the sole, we call that roll. With PING, we love to talk about spin consistency. That's our variable roll technology. So we're trying to create consistent launch conditions and spin rates for impacts that you might hit low on the face or high on the face, which adds into the total forgiveness story of the driver. We do the same thing heel to toe. We change the curvature of the face, heel to toe, to match up to the MOI of the golf club and who we think is actually going to be hitting the product. So marrying that with the MOI and also going a little bit lighter and longer does help to deliver a total better performance.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so again, the models, I guess the cadence, still the Max,
Yep.
LST, and the SFT.
New one in the
the
SFT.
drivers. But yes, I was going to mention the SFT now available at 9 degree. What went into that, I guess, the decision, or what was the reason for adding that in this year versus the past?
Yeah, we, in terms of fitting options, we really want to take a look at who's using our product, where can we better serve that consumer. With 430 is really good, is during a time in which we saw a lot of new golfers potentially come into the game. We felt like we needed an offering that was lower loft, but still turns the ball over.
Yeah.
In the fitting world, right, we've had the Max driver that you can put the CG shifter in the heel, and it provides about 7 yards more draw biasing than the standard position. But we felt like we could even go further. And so we added in the lower lofted 9 degree SFT to help with probably that little faster player who still struggles hitting the ball right or slicing the ball for a right-handed golfer.
Yeah, it seems like there's been an influx of younger people picking up the game a lot. And maybe a lot of them are athletes or baseball players that come in and they cut across the ball a ton and they get that slice, where someone that, they might have a lot of speed, they need to keep the spin down and maybe need that lower launching 9 degree with the SFT. I think that's going to be a big win for PING this year. So And kind of into the fairway woods, we have a couple more new offerings as well in there. So the G440 Max, LST, and SFT, that part hasn't changed, but a couple new offerings in there. The 4-wood.
4-wood.
So kind of,
it's back.
Yeah, and I think there's a trend in just how players are using fairway woods now.
Yeah.
It's the traditional 3-wood is I don't want to say it's going away, but I think people are starting to look at the 3-wood and maybe the advantages that it has versus the disadvantages, and maybe say 4-wood is the play.
Yeah.
And of course the 7-wood and 9-wood also that seem to be growing in popularity.
Fairway woods, high lofted fairway woods are becoming more prevalent. And so I think people are taking a look at how do we gap our fairway woods together. And it's no longer just a standard, but go by a 3-5. It's now 4-7 is a really good play for a lot of consumers. So we took on 440, we looked at who is using our fairway woods and where they're using them from to try to tailor the designs for the assumptive average consumer. So with the SFT model, we ended up keeping that face pretty shallow because we assume, based on a lot of the research we do, that an SFT consumer is going to hit their fairway wood off the turf, just off the ground, majority of the time. They need help getting the ball in the air, so the shallower we can make the fairway wood, the lower the CG goes to help get the ball in the air. With the Max, it's more of a moderate face height because we assume that consumer is going to be hitting the ball off the tee and off the turf, maybe 50-50. Right, they're going to hit it off some par 3s, some par 4s.
Sure.
They're also going to be coming into some par 4s and some par 5s with fairway wood as well. So, and then on the LST side, that's where we've made the most significant face height changes to try to grow the face height, to grow a little bit more confidence off the tee, because we feel like that consumer is going to play an LST fairway wood. It's probably going to be hitting off the tee quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I can speak from experience as of the recording of this. Things may have changed since then because of the experience today hitting the clubs, but G425 LST is my current 3-wood, and but I would say 90+% of my shots are off the tee with it, just because of the way my game sets up, and I'm just rarely in a position where I need a 3-wood from that distance out on the fairway, right?
Yeah.
So that's where this increase in the face height can be a big advantage, and it's just a little bit more of a play when you've got the ball teed up off the ground. So that part intrigues me a ton personally.
But we didn't want to do it while raising the CG height. We want to make our fairway woods just as easy to hit off the turf as 430 is. 430 has been great. It's been really good on tour and consumer bays as well, because it gets the ball in the air with pretty good moderate spin rate and very high MOI for a fairway wood. So we didn't want to lose sight. That's what we're doing really well in fairway woods right now. But we wanted to grow the face height, right? That was the one thing that we've been told time and time again. Well, I wish your faces were just a little taller so I had more confidence to hit off the tee. And the data would suggest, that's probably a suitable play to make. So free hosel design, it's in the fairway wood as well. It's actually extremely efficient in the fairway wood because we're removing steel high in the heel, high on the crown, that we can reallocate to grow the face height without raising the CG. So every gram that was used in removing from free hosel, we grew the face height 1-to-1. So it should perform the same off the turf, but give you a little bit more confidence to hit it off the tee.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so in talking with James during our session, James Lee, the fitter here at Ping, he was talking about the 4-wood and how awesome that is from the fitter perspective, because so often with 3-woods, it's been trying to increase the loft. Like so often the fitters are trying to add loft, but that also closes the face. Now with the 4-wood option, that's not the only option you have to add loft. You can just go up to a 4-wood. So I imagine that was a big part of the process, was just kind of getting that feedback and say, well, there's enough of a reason for us to go to the 4-wood because of all of this feedback from the fittings.
Yeah, we also looked at a ton of data about kind of the average fit at Ping. Let's assume the average club head speed at Ping of a Ping fitting is around 85 miles an hour, driver club head speed. At that driver club head speed, we found our fitting data suggested people are putting 3-woods in play and 5-woods in play as their lowest lofted fairway wood, about equal. So it's a kind of a break-even point. Like you might be a 5-wood, you might be a 3-wood. So we decided, hey, this would be great for a 4-wood. Like the average fit at Ping could be a 4-wood now, because I think it provides just enough loft to get the ball in the air for someone who needs help with more speed, but it's a little bit more distance focused than a 5-wood. So obviously it's right in between. It's going to be played with a 3-wood shaft, so a 43-inch shaft as standard. And we really think it's going to be great as the lowest lofted fairway wood for a lot of consumers, that we also might pair that with a 7-wood or a 9-wood, right? So we're definitely looking at, in our gapping scenario, not just how do we hit the ball as far as humanly possible, but how do they gap together?
And then on the same note, too, adding the 5-wood of the LST, Because in the past there was a 13.5 and a 15. Is that what
we had? We had a 13 degree. We've stretch fairway woods have been kind of the 13 degree deeper face fairway woods in G400 era.
Yeah.
We transitioned away, so we're now at 14. We were at 14.5 on G425, which is yours.
Yep.
G430 we went to 15 degrees.
Okay.
And so our 3 wood's still going to be 15 degrees for the LST model, but we've now added in a 5 wood, so a 19 degree 5 wood.
Yeah. So again, what was the decision there, and I guess what if, in terms of the tech in there as well? I know the LST has a little bit of some different materials maybe in the LST versus the Max and the SFT.
The LST is a beast in terms of how we construct it. So it's a carbon fly wrap crown, titanium body, titanium face. It's a new face material for us on the LST for G440, HST 220. So it's the strongest titanium we've used to date. So that's why we can make the face taller, and we've made it also significantly thinner. So it's durable and also extremely fast. So in our testing, we've seen around 1 mile an hour more ball speed over 430 LST, which in our estimations was one of the fastest out there at the time.
G430 LST was awesome.
And so this is now going to be a faster option, deeper face, but it also has the 5 wood. And the reason why we went down the 5 wood path was another fitting option. We've heard some desires for a higher launching, lower spinning flight than what we have with our 5 wood, our Max 5 wood. So the LST should be a good complement for someone who needs to get the ball in the air or wants to get the ball in the air without it excessively spinning in different windy conditions. So
it's just the array of options is just awesome that is available with the whole G440 lineup, and that kind of leads me into the hybrids, because the fascinating thing about the hybrids is the as James was calling it, it's almost a draw bias with the 6 and 7 hybrid. But then it almost becomes a fade bias, maybe even at the top with the 2 hybrids. So I guess what goes into the construction of those clubs such that you can have that difference, but yet the construction and the methods are still pretty much the same?
Yeah, we took a look at, this is actually something we've been doing in our hybrids for a while, of trying to create hybrids that match the consumers we think are going to play them. We don't think at Ping, there's a ton of players out there, and if there are, I want to meet them, that are playing a 2 hybrid and a 7 hybrid.
Yeah, you're probably right.
If they are, I want to know. So we assume the 2 hybrid, 3 hybrid consumer is someone who wants and desires a lower penetrating trajectory that probably falls right. If they see that go left, hybrid's probably not going to be in the bag, right? So we want to create a hybrid through CG positioning and shaping that will fall right. Whereas the 7 hybrid is going to be a hybrid that someone's going to take an iron out of the bag to play.
Yep.
So we need that thing to get in the air. The reason why they've taken the 7 iron out is probably because they're not having the ability to get the ball in the air as easily as they should. They need more stopping power. So they need that thing to get in the air, also probably turnover, right? So we create more draw biasing in our higher lofts and more fade biasing in our lower lofts. I like to think about it, we have LST, Max, SFT, and our drivers and our fairway woods.
Yeah.
We don't have that in our hybrids. We think that having 3 individual sets of hybrids would be far over servicing the game.
Yeah, sure.
But we think that within our hybrid lineup, we can kind of deliver that same level of performance.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's, in a way, like you said, the LST player, say, call it, with the driver maybe, is probably going to play a 2 or 3 hybrid if they play one, right? Whereas, the Max or SFT, it would probably err more towards those 4 or 5 or even up to 7 hybrid.
Yep.
And so in a way, there might be those slight changes in the construction of those hybrids. So in a way, there's 2 maybe slightly different or 3 slightly different builds within the one lineup, where all the materials and the construction is still the same, yet and able to deliver performance for really any type of golfer.
And our big thing with 440 hybrids was trying to get the ball even higher in the air. We've had a really distance competitive hybrid for a really long time. It does really well.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure you have observed that.
Yes.
So the one thing we looked at was we actually went to tour. We went to the best hybrid players in the world, LPGA Tour players. Out of the contracted staff Ping players, I think it's a staggering 80 to 90% play a 4 hybrid.
Wow.
70% play a 5 hybrid. I think it's in those ballparks. So they play a lot of hybrids, and they play hybrids, and they hit hybrids very well.
Yeah.
And we asked, what do you want? What do you need out of your hybrids in your game to help you play better golf? And they said, we just need more stopping power. Distance is great. Gapping is great. We just want the ball to go a little bit higher to get a little bit more stopping power. So what we did was free hosel design, right?
Yeah.
It's the same technology we had on the driver, fairway, hybrid as well. We also made the face a little shallower and thinner. Everything was trying to lower the CG so that we could add loft. When we're adding loft, we're trying to do that without losing ball speed or spiking spin rate. So what we did with free hosel design, carbon fly wrap, shorter face height, is to lower CG so we could add On the 3 and 4 hybrid, we added a degree of loft.
Yep.
But they launch and spin the same as a hybrid with less loft. They just go, or they launch higher.
Yeah.
Ball speed and spin are the same as a lower lofted hybrid.
Okay.
So we're able to achieve higher peak height, but the same distance, if not a little bit more distance than 430. So.
Yeah. So kind of exactly providing what they're looking for, really,
Yeah.
right? Is that a little bit more stopping power, because that's the name of the game for especially those players. Long par 4 or par 5. When it comes, so many of those LPGA players, and there's PGA Tour players too.
Yeah.
In this particular, or maybe PGA Tour Champions players that fall into that category. They need that. Maybe it's a 220-yard shot or 205-yard shot that it's a 4 hybrid, and they need it to stop and stay on the green for them. So kudos to Ping for accomplishing that with the hybrids, and again the versatility throughout the whole lineup. We talked about the drivers and the Fairway Woods, and then the hybrid is just that there is the different playability options throughout the set is really cool. So now into the irons here, G440 irons. They look awesome.
Great.
I love the kind of I don't know if it's a rebuild of the PureFlex, but it's certainly, I love how the new badge looks on the back. But what else is new in G440 with the irons?
Yeah, no, I think you picked it up. The PureFlex is still there. So on G430, we had 7 pieces, individual zones that flexed independently. Kind of carbon fiber inlays, looks very techy. We have the same functionality, just a different look. So in terms of the design world, mechanical designers, we have industrial designers. Industrial designers make it look good, mechanical designers make it work. We sit at Ping, we sit right next to each other working on these projects together. So everything that is aesthetically pleasing has to perform the same function. So PureFlex is still here. It's a chrome plated look this year. It's a very durable, aesthetically pleasing look.
Sure.
But it still holds the same function of we want to dampen vibrations without restricting bending. So if we can break up our kind of our badging into different zones, the face can flex more, but we still have material there to help dampen it out. So
yeah, that was one big piece of feedback I had in hitting G440 irons was I had, there was a few of those shots where they were low face, but
never.
But yeah, right, exactly. It was quite the day of testing for me.
Okay.
But the feel of those, it was almost the same throughout the whole face. Like the feel was so solid for all the shots, which I really appreciated. And I think players that are going to be fit into G440 will also appreciate that they're going to get a very similar feeling golf shot throughout. Those unwanted vibrations are dampened, right? So the feel for sure with G440 is really good. And then I should even say the sound throughout the whole lineup is really fantastic too.
It's understated.
Really
I think it's hard to put a number on sound. Right?
Yeah.
It's a qualitative, it's a feel, it's a perception. But I think across the line, it should be more muted, crisper, quicker of a sound. But yeah, the iron fits the part on that. And I think, don't want to lose sight, the iron, we want to make sure we're doing the right part for helping people play their best as well. So we obviously want to be distance competitive in the fitting bay. But we also want to make sure we're hitting our peak height trajectory. So
sure.
7-iron, I guess the entire line, our focus was trying to, once again, lower CG. If we can lower CG, we can get the CG more in line with the average impact location we've derived from a lot of our fittings and testing. We can get better launch conditions. So it's the most prevalent on the long irons. We made the most significant CG improvements, so lowering the CG. In addition, we've made the long irons a little bit longer, the kind of our length progression. Yeah. So the 4, 5, 6 irons are incrementally longer than 430 because we want to help people maintain gapping throughout the set, right? And we don't want players to have a great fitting experience with a 7-iron, then get on the course and realize they have no gapping between their 6 to 7, 6, right?
Right, yeah.
The long iron. So we've added a little bit of length for the consumer that is going to play that 4 or 5 iron. If they still can't get the 4 iron in the air, we make great hybrids. We make great high lofted fairway woods. So we have options for that consumer, but we've made really good distance gains in the long iron. So I think we're quoting the 5 iron in our player testing with kind of an average G consumer is about 4 yards longer than 430.
Wow, okay.
And then on the shorter end of the set, we've gone away from our 5 wedge system. We're back to a 4 wedge system. So the wedge U, the 52, and now we have a I2 inspired 56.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, the I2, because that's, it's a classic with Ping and the I2 shape and design. But how does working that into the kind of the cavity back type of iron like this? What was that like for you guys? And because to have that wedge type of technology and shape is probably very attractive to a lot of the players that are going to be fit for G440.
Yeah, no, we definitely looked at what's the best loft to even execute this at. 430, we had a 58-degree highest lofted wedge. We felt like that might be a little bit too much for some consumers who is going to buy the set wedge or the G440. So going to 56 degrees is definitely going to be geared towards someone who is going to need versatility out of the bunker. And I2 style shaping is very good out of a bunker, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the reduced hosel, kind of more smaller hosel helps to promote more speed out of the sand. So executing that in this design, we felt like was going to be a really good complement for someone who is going to play the G440's 56 degree, who wants that in their bag. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to kind of summarize here and start wrapping up, I know this has been awesome, by the way. Thank you for your time. The G440 stuff, we're always very excited about it at Second Swing when there's new Ping stuff. I was, again, just really impressed with all the options that there are. Our fitters are going to love this entire lineup just because of the 4-wood and the LST 5-wood and now the 9-degree SFT. That type of stuff is going to just absolutely, I mean, they're going to be so stoked about that. So kudos to Ping for all that. I did want to ask you this in kind of in closing.
Okay.
What changes, or I guess what of these are going to be in your bag, do you think, here in 2025?
It's actually a really good question. I am right
I know
now,
it's early, so.
It's early. We're not playing it as of the date that we're talking about
Sure.
it, but by the time this video comes out, yeah, I've historically been a 9 LST consumer.
Okay.
I actually think with some of the shaping changes we've made to the Max, made it a little bit smaller than previous Max drivers we've had. I actually might be a 9 Max consumer, right?
All right.
So we're really excited. I'm really excited about that. I had the pleasure of working on the Fairway Wood project myself, so I'm very partial to the 4-wood.
Yeah, okay,
I fought pretty hard to get the 4-wood in the bag, so I think that's going to be a play for me.
Okay, and I'm not, again, this is early. I think the 4-wood might be in my bag too, so if and when that happens, I will be thanking you for that.
Love it.
Travis. But yeah, thank you for the time today. This has been awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you to Ping for having us out here too. This has been fantastic, and yeah, we're really excited about G440, so appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew.
All right, and that was Travis from Ping HQ. Some fascinating stuff from the design and engineering perspective from Travis. Always great to get that insight. And of course, we're really excited about it here at Second Swing to get golfers into G440. And also of note, the swing report videos that we filmed that day as well at Ping are up on the YouTube channel in terms of the drivers, the irons, some really good performance that we saw in the testing with their master fitter, James Lee. So transitioning now to the discussion with Tom Fisher on GT Hybrids and the Titleist GT1 lineup. Some really new and cool stuff Titleist is doing with those products. Here's our discussion with Tom. Hey golfers, and welcome back to another episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. And today's a special one. We are down at Titleist Performance Institute, actually at the Titleist Content Studio. We've got Tom Fisher with us, Director of Product Marketing, and it's special because we've got some new stuff to talk about today. Titleist GT1 and some hybrids as well. So it's a really exciting time for Titleist. Tom, thanks for spending the time with us to chat about it and kind of let the viewers and listeners in on what's new with GT1. And again, GT has been super successful. Kind of, it's been awesome for our fitters. A bunch of great feedback, and so the GT story has definitely hit home. I think both with just golfers in the Bay, but also our fitters.
Fantastic. Well, Drew, fantastic to be with you again. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, GT's off to a flying start. Been in market a couple of months now, and yeah, the performance is exactly what we expected. I know Steph and Chuck and the team have worked on it for several years now. Bringing this new construction with this new performance, and delighting golfers and your fitters around the world. So
yeah, it's been awesome to see just how quickly we can get into some of this stuff later, but how quickly GT was put into bags of amateurs, but also just pros, the Titleist staffers. It was like that, and you got GT drivers, and so now we have the new stuff here. So you got some fun toys at your right hand there. So getting into GT1, let's start there. In the past, you've kind of had this the cadence of the one being an addition to the series. So GT1, talk to us about just the overarching theme behind the driver, the Fairway Hybrid, what it's intended to do, and how it fits within the lineup.
Yeah. Well, Perfect. So GT1 is kind of certainly still drafting off the GT drivers, so it has everything, all the bells and whistles that GT came with. So the seamless thermoform crown, with the PMP material, split mass construction, while we've kind of used that mass differently than the others, and I'll explain to you that in a moment. Still got the speed ring with VFT, so all the bells and whistles and giving you all the performance that you've expected and seen in GT2, 3, and 4. But GT1, with that split mass construction, we've deepened the CG, and that's by design. Our one product has always been kind of that high launching, more moderate spin rate for that golfer, and that's kind of really where this GT1 is remaining. So CG is deeper to help the ball get the launch up in the air. Launching it higher than TSR1, that was kind of a design goal for us. Feedback from the golfers and from our player test panel that they would like to see still it go a little higher, but not change spin rate. And that's where obviously this split mass construction can really help us, where we can lower CG, move it further back to give you some inertia, but also get that launch high, but maintaining a good moderate spin rate. We didn't want the spin rate to increase because we know that could also hurt from a distance perspective. Sure. So deepest CG, highest launching, more moderate spin rate, which we know is going to be another tool in the tool chest for your fitters out there to really dial in golfers.
Right. That's the cool part about this is everybody's been excited about GT2 and GT3, and so I guess in terms of the driver, and we can get into the fairways as well, but where does the driver then fit in terms of like how does it compare to GT2 then?
Yeah.
And is it close, or even GT3? Like where does it fit in there? How does it compare to those two?
Yeah, so with its deepest CG back, it's going to be a little high launching and spin a little bit more than GT2. But what the nice thing about it is that we've actually got other options in the GT1 as well, because we're going to have 6 different CG locations now when we bring the one, and I'll explain to you about that in a minute. Of course, you've got 2 different CG locations in GT4. You've got a different CG location in GT3, and then obviously GT2. So that gives you 4. But now in the one, you've actually got 2 settings, and how do you do that when you've only got really that one back aft weighting, that sure fit weight? Well, GT1 has always, the one model has always come in a lightweight construction, and for the most part, that's what it's going to be. Our GT1 is an 8 gram lighter head weight. It's paired with a lighter weight shaft. We're introducing the new Air Speeder 2nd generation, 35-40 gram shaft, and it has a lighter grip. So right off the bat, it's really obviously designed for that moderate to slow swing speed golfer. So get more speed with a lighter product, and obviously give you a CG location that helps get the ball up in the air. So that gives us obviously that deeper CG, but we also believe that this has a wider net that we can cast with this product. So not only also the faster swing players can also benefit from higher launch and maybe more spin. So we're also going to have what we kind of call our traditional or a heavier build for the one, and we're going to be able to get a little bit more weight in that aft position. So add another 6 grams back to the head to kind of get it on par with GT2, 3, and 4 head weight. So therefore, golfers who are used to kind of that more traditional head weight can benefit from that launch and that spin in the GT1 family, and it also gives you another CG location. And as you may or may not know, CG location in terms of depth from forward to back not only changes launch and spin, but it also changes face closure as well. And you can time up CG location with different swing dynamics to not only get you the launch and spin needed, but also get that face square at impact. So like I said, tons of tools for the fitters to use to really dial in golfer. Yeah,
so with that, maybe heavier head weight, you can really, it doesn't even necessarily just fit into these players that might swing slow, or, it just depends on how you launch the ball, how you spin the ball, and you can fit anywhere from GT1 to GT4, just depending on how you hit the ball.
Exactly, yeah, and that, that's the beauty of, we always say go get fit, right? So we have, all these different options to fit any type of golfer needed that wants to obviously get into this really high performing GT product. And yeah, this GT1 shouldn't just be thinking and be pigeonholed as it's for moderate to slow swing speed players, because it's a lightweight configuration. You can do so much more now with this product, and then obviously you have the 2, 3, and 4 to really dial golfers in as well.
And so one thing I was also really excited about that I learned about today with the GT1 models, this is also, I believe, is true for the Fairway Wood, so we get into that, but is the youth or junior builds as well. So that was really cool that you guys are kind of adding to into sort of the options with GT1.
Yeah, we're introducing, as I told you, we're launching with Fujikura the new air speeder, but we actually work with them to develop an R4 Flex with them as well. So our R3 Flex is predominantly being kind of that ladies kind of profile, and we've actually then gone a little step softer in that R4 Flex, and we've then worked with our player test panel and with R&D to really nail the right length and the right shaft profiles, and we've got this youth spec now as well, which is 2-inch under men's standard, so obviously an inch shorter than ladies, and that's going to be available across our product lineup starting in 2025, and we won't stop there. We're going to continue to add products for that type of junior player.
Yeah, I know as the game continues to grow, there's going to be more and more players sort of in that younger ages that are really trying to get dialed in and play a lot of golf. So had to bring that up. I didn't want to miss that for today.
Yeah,
so,
appreciate it. Yeah, we're excited about that.
So the GT1 fairways now, we'll get into those before we get into the hybrids. What are we looking at with these? And obviously I also wanted to ask about kind of lofts and stuff too, because I think we talked about the player I guess the most common player that's going to have GT1 in the bag will have maybe some higher lofted fairway woods too. Yeah. So kind of the functionality of those and what's all involved with GT1.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so GT1 fairway will certainly draft off, for the most part, the GT1 driver, where it will be our highest launching, more moderate spin rate compared to GT2 and 3. So again, another option for the fitters and the golfer out there. It is our shallowest model as well. So obviously being shallow, we can get that CG nice and low, which is also going to help with that launch. But the one thing that we've also added, which again is going to add more playability and versatility to this product, similar to what you see in our GT4, we have a forward and aft weighting. Wow. So we have obviously an 11 gram weight and a 3 gram weight that comes as standard in the head. And as standard, we're going to have the 11 weight in the aft and the back position, which obviously will create that higher launching, more moderate spin rate for that golfer. But we believe that, again, like the GT1 driver, this has more playability for more golfers. So by switching and moving that 11 gram more in the forward position, that's obviously going to change a lot of dynamic lofting. It's going to change launch and spin rates. You might be able to get a bit more speed out of it as well. So this is going to be a great option for even a better player that actually likes a more shallower looking golf club at address. And I wouldn't be surprised that we're going to see some GT1s on the PGA Tour next year
really?
as well, just because of what we've done to this product.
So it seems like with both driver and fairway wood, you've kind of added some things to make them more playable for the masses, not maybe just the moderate swing speed type of golfer, someone looking for speed. Anybody with really any club speed can put that in the bag and it's going to be functional for them.
Well, it's all about what we've looked at, right? When you look at launch and spin rates, there are better golfers that, don't spin the ball enough and need ball get up in the air. Don't, like I said, just pigeonhole this product in a lightweight construction where people will ignoring, that's not for me because I don't play a lightweight product. We don't want that to be the case. Let's pick the right product that's going to really elevate your game. So, we're really excited about it and gonna, like I said, lots of options now.
So how many loft options are there then with the GT1?
Yeah, so we go from 15 degrees all the way up in 3-degree loft increments all the way up to 24 degrees, which is kind of our 9-wood. But then obviously with the sure fit hosel as well, where you can extend that even higher or obviously bring that 15 down even lower and the lofts in between. So lots of options for those high lofted fairway woods, which is, as you know, quite popular right now.
It's kind of crazy how the 7-wood and the 9-wood have taken off in our fittings. It seems like so many golfers are looking for that. So awesome to see that it's available with GT1.
Yep.
Now kind of moving into the hybrids now.
Yeah.
So we have GT1, 2, and 3 for hybrids.
Yep.
And it's, as you even kind of noted today when you were kind of presenting the product to us, that it's almost in a way, as we just kind of alluded to with the fairway woods, the hybrid category is changing a little bit, and the use of it and how many players are throwing hybrids in the bag, but there's still some practicality with them and some use for them. So talk to me about the GT hybrids, what's in there, how much of the technology has changed over, say, TSR?
Hybrid category, we are committed to all categories. I know, obviously, we just talked about high lofted fairway woods have kind of taken a little bit of love from these hybrids, but we are obviously about performance, and Tom Bennett, who's our principal engineer who oversees our Fairway Woods and Hybrid categories, knocked it out of the park with those. And there was a really clear design goal with these, which is all about how do we improve stability and how do we move adjustability, right? Because we're obviously, one of our core strategies is fitting and really, getting golfers, dialed in from a performance perspective. And that shines through in all these hybrids. So we've got the 1, 2, and 3. And right out the bat, we talk about different launch angles and spin rates. So GT1 is going to be our highest launching product. GT2 is still going to be high launching, but just a little bit lower than GT1, and then GT3 will be that mid to low launching product. Sure. But so that's kind of how they separate. But then obviously from that standpoint, the stability and adjustability is there in all three models. And how we've done it is we're introducing new flat weights. And when you introduce new flat weights, you can then, really improve not only inertia, which is huge in hybrids, so, stability, but you also can adjust CG and fitting capabilities. So in the GT1, similar to what we did in the Fairway Wood, we added forward and aft weighting. So we can actually improve inertia by having this aft weighting. You can move that weight further back, which is going to raise forgiveness and stability. But again, for the better player, you can then maybe move that weight a little bit forward, get that launch and that spin rate a little bit differently if that's needed for the golfer. So again, tons of adjustability. This is, again, more of a kind of the shape of this is very similar to what we did with TSR1, so a little bit of a larger profile. And obviously we go from 20 degrees all the way up to 29 degrees in this hybrid. So plenty a lot of options for this product. So we're super excited about this one as it relates to really helping move CG forward and back to change launch and spin and change inertia properties. So this is going to be a really, really
it's
good
interesting because I feel like in the past, especially with I'm thinking like GT3, TSR3 or 4 has kind of been the one that's had the adjustable weighting. Yeah. Whether it comes to whether it could be hybrids or fairways or even drivers. But to see the adjustable weighting options now with GT1 is really cool because, again, I'm talking from the fitter's perspective. They just want, as you said, more tools in the chest to play with. And so it's really cool to have that.
Chris Tooten, who oversees our tour, he's like a scratch golfer, and he's going to play GT1. Yeah. He plays TSR1, and he's like all over this one because he can obviously really dial it in. So again, yes, it's a higher launching product, but with this new adjustability, it opens the door for much more golfers.
Absolutely. So now getting into GT2 and GT3, so we've been talking all about GT1 so far. Yeah. But let's not forget GT2 and 3 in terms of the drivers and fairways have been very successful. So now we're adding the hybrids.
We are adding hybrids, and the theme remains, right? Stability and adjustability. But you'll notice that we've actually moved these flat weights from the forward to the aft settings, more to the heel and toe, which really actually for these two products boosts inertia and stability through the roof compared to where TSR was. So by moving weight out to the perimeter of the product, it really is improving the stability. So in the GT2, you can see we've got flat weights, and they're both the same. 11 and a 5 gram are the stock, but of course we'll have additional flat weights that your fitters will have that they can really obviously change head weight and change CG locations with the orientation of the weights. But what we're going to see here is tons more stability and inertia, and that really does matter on a hybrid. We talked about it earlier. Yeah, of course, you want inertia on a driver. If you can save 2 or 3 yards on a missed hit on a driver, great. Okay, you're a little bit further down the fairway. But saving 3 to 4, 5 yards on a hybrid when you're hitting it into the green and you need to hit a number to carry the water, to carry a bunker or false front, that makes a big difference. So inertia gains in hybrids and like irons is huge for a golfer, and we've seen huge inertia gains, and I don't think you're going to see higher inertia properties on any hybrid next year like we have in GT.
Really?
Absolutely. So you've got mass inertia, you've obviously got these heel and toe weightings to similar to like how your fitters are going to use GT3. They can really change the where the CG location is from heel to toe, not only to obviously help dispersion if someone's struggling with face closure, but they also we use these weights to really like align CG to impact location. So if we can really do that for a golfer, it unlocks even more performance. It gives you more ball speed, more consistent ball speed, more consistent launch and spin rates, and a tighter dispersion as well. So we should use your fitters are going to use these weights not only for dispersion but really to improve strike location and performance. And that what we see in the GT2 kind of goes again into the GT3. You can see we've got toe and heel weightings in the 3. The inertia on this is even higher than what we improved on GT2, yet we also made the GT3 smaller from torque feedback. We wanted a more like the 818 kind of shape, which was kind of like this ideal classic shape.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it kind of mirrors off that shaping, so it's smaller than TSR3, but the inertia is significantly more. And how's that accomplished? Because of these new flat weights that we put on the toe and the heel. Yeah.
So in terms of I guess if we were to take I guess, again, I know it's brand new, right? But in terms of the distribution of the hybrids out there among golfers, how many of what percent would be playing the 1 versus the 2 versus the 3, do you think?
I think the 2 will probably be the most popular, just because it kind of sits right in that middle. It's a great, sleek, classic shape, workable, but still has that tons of inertia. The 3 obviously smaller, so it's going to suit a certain eye. And I think I would say the same thing with the 1 being a little bit of a larger, more of a a hybrid crossover to kind of a fairway wood shaping in its design and look. But I would probably say that you're going to see the 2 being probably the most popular, and then the 3 and the 1 are going to be kind of joint neck and neck. But go get fit, right? You're going to see clearly different launch and spin characteristics. They've obviously got tons of inertia in there, and then obviously we have a slew of custom hybrid shafts that your fitters will be able to really get the golfer getting in the right direction with any of these hybrids. So, and it's important to hit a number. These are gapping clubs, right? So these fit
iron replacements for the most part. You're taking an
fit.
iron out probably to put this in the bag.
Got it. This is going to be after your longest playable iron, and then obviously your driver, and we're going to fit that in with a group of hybrids, utilities, fairway woods, and that's what your fitters are trained to do. And they've got lots of options with Titleist.
So now at this point, we're into 2025, and we've got the GT lineup is now extended.
Yep.
You got GT 1, 2, 3, 4 in the driver.
Yep.
GT 1, 2, 3 fairways, GT 1, 2, 3 hybrids. Yep. So at this point, if a golfer is looking for something new, they're trying to upgrade their game, and they haven't considered GT yet, well, guess what would you tell that person?
I would say they're missing out, ultimately. Yeah. I mean, we've got products for everyone, right, in terms of all different CG locations, different inertias, different launch and spin rates. So, got options for everyone. Also, all of our products are adjustable. Like all drivers, all fairways, all hybrids, all have CG adjustability, head weight adjustability, and all have the SureFit hosel, which no other really manufacturer can say. So when it comes to actually, obviously, getting the best performance out of your product, not only do we have a lot of tech and performance under the hood, but we have all the tools and all the adjustments that can, as we know, getting fit can unlock even more performance. So if you haven't tried these yet, if you want stability, you want speed, you want it to look and sound good, you should go and check out the GT lineup.
Yeah, it's been received so well by fitters, and then obviously in the fittings it's performed really well. So so many options. The adjustability aspect that you mentioned is certainly second to none in the industry right now. So golfers, go get fit. Tom, thank you for joining and telling us all about the new stuff from Titleist. It's always exciting for us.
Always a pleasure being with you. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Another great discussion with Tom. He's become a go-to source for us at Second Swing, getting insight from Titleist on their products, and actually the entire GT lineup from its launch last year in the middle of 2024 has been really good in fittings. And so it's going to be very fun to dive into some comparison type content here in the next few months, with GT being maybe a few months older than some of these other products that have hit the market here in January, testing that stuff out together, seeing the differences between them, whether it's drivers, fairway woods, or these hybrids as well. So fascinating stuff there from Tom, and to get that perspective. On the YouTube channel this week, just a few notes for you. Live at lunch on Thursday, testing G440 stuff. So some more PING G440 content. We'll do some live testing, get your questions. Join in the chat, subscribe to the channel for some, if you have any insight or any questions for us while we're doing our testing. Also, I just need to point you to our YouTube channel for all the Swing Report videos that we've done. whether it's TaylorMade QI35, whether it's the new Mizuno irons. We've got Callaway Elite videos up, Srixon ZXI, all some really good stuff. Aside from PING G440 and Titleist GT, that you should be checking out if you're looking at anything new to maybe add to the bag in 2025. And lastly, thank you for watching all the stuff, and subscribe to the channel for all the content that we're producing. This is our favorite time of year to get you all the information that you need on the new products. And we'll be at PGA Show next week, so a ton of more and fun, cool stuff coming on the Second Swing YouTube channel.